She came to us on a Tuesday. It was raining. I remember because I was standing by the office window, watching the social worker help her out of the car. A small figure under a big red jacket, hood pulled deep over her eyes. 8 years old, that's what the paperwork said. But she looked 5, maybe 6. Hands clenched tight into fists, she walked behind the social worker, but kept looking down. Always down, never up. I went out to meet them, like I always did with new kids. "Hello," I said. "I'm Mr. Harris." She didn't lift her head. The social worker, Miss Rodriguez, I knew her well, shook her head. "Maria isn't talking right now," she said quietly. "After what happened, the doctors say it's normal." I nodded. I'd seen this before. But there was something different about Maria, something in the way she held her shoulders, like she was carrying the whole world on them. We went inside. The other kids were waiting in the hallway. They always waited. New kids were always interesting to see. "This is Maria," I said. "She's going to live with us." James, our oldest, stepped forward. "Hi, Maria. I'm James." She didn't answer, didn't even look at him. Just stood there in her big red jacket, eyes down. "Let me show you your room," I said. We walked up the stairs. I carried her small backpack. It didn't weigh much, too little for an 8-year-old. The room was small but cozy. 2 beds, one for her, one for Sophia. Sophia had been with us for a year. "This is your bed," I showed her. Maria walked to the window. First time she lifted her head. Outside was a tree, an old oak. Several crows were sitting on it. She looked at them for a long time. A very long time. "Do you like birds?" I asked. She didn't answer, but kept watching. I left her there, by the window, with the birds. And later that day, Mrs. Rodriguez gave me the file. I read it in my office, with the door closed. Father was an alcoholic. Mother died when Maria was 6. For 2 years, she lived alone with her father. Neighbors called police because of the screaming, too often. When they found her, she was sitting in a closet for 3 days, waiting for her father to wake up. He didn't wake up. I closed the file, put it in the safe. Some stories are too heavy to carry in your head, but impossible to forget. That evening at dinner, Maria sat in the corner, away from everyone, ate very little, very slowly. The other kids tried to talk to her, each in their own way. Sophia offered her an apple. Maria shook her head. Little Tommy showed her his toy car. Maria looked, but didn't touch. James sat next to her, just sat, didn't say anything. That was the best thing he could do. When bedtime came, I went upstairs to check on all the kids, like always. Maria was lying on the bed, fully dressed, hadn't even taken off her shoes, staring at the ceiling, eyes wide open. "Can't sleep?" I asked quietly. She looked at me. First time she looked into my eyes. Her eyes were dark, darker than the night outside the window. There was something in them, just empty, like part of her stayed somewhere else, in that closet with the father who didn't wake up. I sat on the edge of the bed. "You know what? The first night is always the hardest." She kept looking. "But morning will be easier. It always is." I didn't know if that was true, but I wanted it to be true. A little later, her breathing became deeper, slower. I stood up quietly, turned off the light. In the hallway, I met Sophia. She was standing by their bedroom door. "Mr. Harris," she whispered, "will Maria ever talk?" I looked at their bedroom door. "I don't know, sweetheart. I hope so." "I hope so too," Sophia said. We all hoped. The next morning, Maria didn't come to breakfast. I went upstairs to the room. She was sitting on the floor by the window, looking at the tree. "Maria, time for breakfast." She didn't move. I came closer. On the floor was a piece of paper and a pencil. She had been drawing. On the paper was a bird, very small, with spread wings. "That's beautiful," I said. She looked at the drawing, then at me. Still said nothing. But she took the paper and came downstairs with me. At breakfast, she sat in the same place, in the corner, put the drawing next to her plate. The other kids were curious. "Wow, cool bird," Tommy said. Maria quickly covered the drawing with her hand, like she was afraid they'd take it away. I understood. This was her way of talking when words wouldn't come. After breakfast, I gave her more paper and colored pencils. She took everything very carefully, like she was afraid it would disappear. "You can draw as much as you want," I said. Her eyes widened slightly. Surprise. Maybe something else. The next few days, she drew constantly. During lessons with our teacher, Mrs. Martin, during playtime before bed, always birds. Small birds, big birds, birds in trees, birds in the sky, but mostly birds that were flying, wings spread, beaks forward, like they were hurrying somewhere. I started collecting her drawings, put them in a folder in my office. After a week, there were 15. After 2 weeks, 30. All birds, all flying. Mrs. Martin came to talk to me. "She's very talented," she said. "But I'm worried. She doesn't answer questions, not even with a nod." I was worried too. I called the child psychologist, Dr. Chen. She'd worked with us for many years. She came the following week, observed Maria from a distance. Then we talked in my office. "Selective mutism," Dr. Chen said. "After trauma, very serious trauma." Will she speak again? Maybe, but it takes time and the right approach. Dr. Chen showed me books, articles, methods for working with such children. The main thing, don't pressure. Let her feel safe. I nodded, but I knew. Easier said than done. Every evening I stopped by their room. Maria was always drawing, even in the dim lamplight. "Will you show me the new drawing?" I'd ask. She always showed. A new bird, a new attempt to fly. "Where are they flying?" I asked once. She looked at the drawing, then at me. There was something like surprise in her eyes, like no one had ever asked her about this before. She took the pencil, drew a small cloud, high up. "To the clouds?" I asked. She nodded. First time she nodded. It was progress. Small, but progress. The next day I brought her a book about birds, with pictures. She looked through it for hours, pointed at different birds, looked at me questioningly. "This is a blue jay," I'd say, "and this is a crow, and this..." She listened, carefully listened. Sometimes she even smiled, barely, but she smiled. I started bringing her more books about animals, about nature, about everything that interested her. She looked at the pictures and then drew. tried to repeat what she saw. Her drawings got better, more detailed, but the flying birds remained, always remained. One evening, I found her on the bedroom floor. She was crying, quietly, almost silently. Next to her lay crumpled paper. I unfolded it. There was a bird, but this bird wasn't flying. It was lying down, wings broken. "Maria," I said quietly. She looked at me, tears on her cheeks. I sat down next to her, on the floor beside her. "Sometimes birds fall," I said, "but then they learn to fly again." She looked at me with big dark eyes. "And sometimes they need help to lift their wings again." I didn't know if she understood what I was talking about, but I wanted to think she did. That evening, I couldn't sleep for a long time about her birds, about how hard it is to lift broken wings. But I didn't give up. Never gave up. That was my rule. In this house, we never give up. After a month, Maria started eating with us. At the common table, didn't sit in the corner, sat next to Sophia. Sophia was a quiet girl, didn't talk much. Maybe that's why Maria felt calmer with her. During lunch, Sophia showed Maria how to hold a fork properly, how to cut meat. Maria watched, repeated, slowly but carefully. "Good job," Sophia said, quietly. Maria didn't answer, but she smiled. These were small steps, very small, but I noticed them. I always noticed such things. One day I found a drawing on my desk. Maria had put it there when I wasn't around. The drawing showed a house, our house, and many birds around it. The birds weren't flying away. They were just there, sitting on the roof, in the trees, like they were resting. I hung this drawing on the office wall, next to photos of other children. The next day, Maria came into the office, saw her drawing on the wall. Her eyes went wide, surprised. "I really like it," I said. "Can I keep it here?" She nodded, firmly nodded. Then she came closer, looked at the other photos. "These are all the kids who lived here," I explained. "Some are still with us. Some found new families." She pointed at one photo, a boy with light hair. "That's Michael," I said. "He lived here for 3 years. Now he has a mom and dad. They love him very much." Maria looked at the photo for a long time. Then she went to the window. Outside, real birds were flying. She reached out to the glass, like she wanted to touch them. "Want to go outside?" I asked. She turned, looked at me, nodded. We went out to the garden behind the house. Apple trees grew there, and the same old oak she could see from the window. Maria walked to the tree, put her hand on the bark. Above, little birds were chirping, real little birds. She lifted her head, listened to their song. "Beautiful, isn't it?" I said. She nodded, and suddenly she did something. Raised her hands up toward the little birds, like she wanted to fly up to them. Stood like that for a long time, with raised hands, eyes closed, and then lowered her hands, opened her eyes, looked at me like she wanted to say something. But there were no words, still no words. From that day, we often went to the garden, Maria and I. She brought paper and pencils with her, drew under the tree. I sat nearby, read a book, or just looked at the sky. Sometimes she showed me her drawings, sometimes not. I didn't insist, just stayed nearby. That was important, just being nearby. Dr. Chen came once a week, observed Maria. She's making progress, she told me, slowly but surely. Will she start talking? When she's ready, when she feels safe enough. I hoped that day would come soon. But time passed. Weeks, months. Maria still didn't speak. True, now she smiled more often, played with other children, even laughed sometimes. Silently, but laughed. She helped Sophia clean their room, showed Tommy how to draw birds. With James, they watched TV together, cartoons about animals. She became part of our family, a quiet, silent part, but a part. I got used to her silence. We all got used to it. Sometimes it seemed to me it would always be this way, that she would never speak. And you know what? That was okay. Maria spoke in her own way, with drawings, smiles, touches. She had her own language, and we were learning to understand it. But everything changed one November morning. I'll never forget that day. Never. Because that's when Maria finally found her voice. But that's another story. The next part. For now, I just remember those quiet months, when we learned to understand each other without words. When Maria showed us that love doesn't always need to be spoken aloud. Sometimes it's enough to just draw a bird and put the drawing on someone's desk so that someone understands. You matter. You're needed. You're the reason why the birds don't fly away. November 15th. I remember the exact date. It was a Thursday. Cold morning. First frost of the season. I was in the kitchen making coffee when I heard the scream. Not just any scream. The kind that stops your heart. I ran outside. Tommy was in the garden, under the old oak tree. He was lying very still. Too still. Blood on his forehead. A thick branch beside him. "Tommy!" I shouted, dropped to my knees next to him. The other kids came running. Sophia, James, little Sarah from the new placement, and Maria. She stood at the edge of the garden, staring at Tommy. Her face was white, completely white. I checked Tommy's pulse, still breathing, but unconscious. "James, call 911, I shouted. "Sophia, get some towels." Everyone scattered, except Maria. She just stood there, watching. I pressed a towel to Tommy's head, tried to stop the bleeding. His eyes fluttered open. "Mr. Harris," he whispered. "I'm here, buddy. You're going to be okay." But I wasn't sure. Head injuries, you never knew. The ambulance was taking too long, way too long. Tommy's breathing was getting shallow. "Stay with me, Tommy," I said. "Keep your eyes open." But his eyes were closing, closing. That's when I heard it. A voice, quiet, shaky. "Don't let him fly away." I looked up Everyone looked up. Maria was standing closer now. Tears streaming down her face, she said again, louder this time. Her first words in 6 months. Her first words. "Maria," I whispered. She dropped to her knees beside Tommy, put her small hand on his chest. "The birds," she said. Her voice was rough, like it hadn't been used in forever. "They told me, when someone's hurt, they want to fly away to the clouds." She looked at me with those dark eyes. "But if you hold them, if you keep talking to them, they stay." I didn't understand. Not then. But I kept talking to Tommy, kept my hand on his shoulder. "Come on, buddy. Stay with us. Maria wants you to stay." Maria nodded. "My daddy flew away," she whispered. "I couldn't make him stay, but Tommy can stay." The ambulance finally arrived. Paramedics took over. Tommy was conscious by then, confused but conscious. They loaded him into the ambulance. I rode with him to the hospital. But before I left, I looked back at Maria. She was standing under the oak tree, looking up at the branches. Her lips were moving, like she was talking to someone. Maybe to the birds, maybe to her father, maybe to herself. Hours later, I got the call. Tommy was going to be fine. Concussion, but no serious damage. I drove back to the house. It was evening. Dark. Maria was waiting for me in the hallway, just standing there. "Is Tommy okay?" she asked. 3 more words, clear as day. "He's going to be fine," I said. "Thanks to you." She looked confused. "Me? You made sure he didn't fly away." She thought about this for a long time. "Maybe," she said finally. "Maybe the birds listened." That night, I couldn't sleep. Kept thinking about what Maria said, about flying away, about holding on, about birds and fathers and little girls who wait in closets. I was beginning to understand. The next morning, Maria came to breakfast on time. She sat in her usual spot next to Sophia. But this time, when James said good morning, she answered, "Good morning, James." Just like that, like she'd been talking all along. The other kids stared. Sophia's mouth fell open. "Maria!" Sophia squealed. "You're talking!" Maria smiled, a real smile, not just the small ones we'd seen before. "I know," she said. "It feels different." Her voice was soft, a little hoarse, but clear. Dr. Chen came that afternoon. She sat with Maria in my office. I watched through the window. Maria was drawing and talking, actually talking. After an hour, Dr. Chen came to find me. "It's remarkable," she said. "The crisis yesterday, it broke through something." Will she keep talking? I think so. She's been ready for weeks. She just needed a reason. Dr. Chen showed me Maria's latest drawing, a boy lying under a tree. But this time, the birds weren't flying away. They were circling, protecting. She told me about her father, Dr. Chen said quietly. How she found him, how she waited. I nodded. I'd read the file. She said she kept talking to him for 3 days, asking him to wake up, to not fly away. My chest tightened. When he didn't, She thought it was because she wasn't loud enough, wasn't good enough. And yesterday? Yesterday, she realized she could save someone, that her voice could make a difference. That evening, I found Maria in the garden, under the oak tree. She was talking to the birds in the branches. Actually talking. "Hi, birds," she was saying. "Thank you for staying. Thank you for listening yesterday." I sat down beside her. "What are you telling them?" "That Tommy's okay. That he didn't fly away." She looked at me. "Mr. Harris, do you think my daddy can hear me now?" The question hit me like a punch. "I think," I said carefully, "that your daddy always heard you, even when he couldn't answer." She nodded, like that made sense. "The birds tell me things," she said. "They told me you're sad sometimes, at night, in your office." I was surprised. "They told you that?" "They see everything from up high. They said you cry sometimes, when you think no one's looking." She wasn't wrong. Running a group home, it broke your heart, regularly. "They said you need someone to talk to, like they talk to each other." Maria picked up a small stone, smooth and round. "This is for you," she said. "When you're sad, hold it. And remember, you didn't let any of us fly away." I took the stone. It was warm from her hand. "Thank you, Maria." She smiled. "The birds say you're welcome." Over the next few days, Maria talked more and more. Not constantly. She was still quiet by nature. But she talked. She told Sophia about her drawings, explained what each bird meant. She asked James about his family, where they were now, if he missed them. She helped Tommy with his homework, her voice patient and kind. And every evening, she talked to the birds. I started joining her, sitting under the oak tree. She told me about her mother, how she used to sing lullabies, about her father before the drinking got bad, how he taught her to draw. "He drew birds too," she said one day. "Real good birds, with big wings. Like yours? Better. His birds looked like they could really fly." She was quiet for a moment. I think that's why he liked the drinking. It made him feel like he could fly too." I didn't know what to say to that. "But flying away isn't the same as being free," she continued. "The birds taught me that." "What do you mean?" She pointed to the crows in the tree. "They can fly anywhere, but they choose to stay here. They choose to come back. Because this is home. Because this is where they're loved." That night, I sat in my office, holding Maria's stone, thinking about birds and fathers and little girls who finally found their voice. Thinking about how sometimes the biggest breakthroughs come from the smallest acts of courage. Maria had found her voice by trying to save someone else. Maybe that's how we all find our voices. By deciding that love is worth the risk of speaking up. Tommy came home from the hospital 3 days later. He had a bandage on his head and strict orders to take it easy. Maria was the first one to greet him. "I'm sorry you got hurt," she said. Tommy grinned. "It's okay. The doctor said I have a hard head anyway." "Good," Maria said seriously. "Hard heads don't break as easy." She handed him a drawing. A boy with a bandaged head surrounded by birds. "They're watching over you," she explained, to make sure you don't fall again. Tommy stared at the picture. This is for me? Yes, the birds told me you needed it. From that day on, Maria became our translator for all the feelings we couldn't put into words. When Sophia was sad about her mother, Maria drew her a picture of two birds, a big one and a little one, flying together. The big bird had to fly away, Maria explained, but she still connected to the little bird by invisible strings. When James got angry about his father, Maria gave him paper and pencils. Draw the anger, she said. Put it on the paper. Then it's not inside you anymore. James drew dark, jagged lines, storms and lightning. Good, Maria said. Now draw something you love. James drew our house, all of us standing in front of it. See, Maria said. Love is bigger than anger. Dr. Chen was amazed by Maria's progress. She's not just talking, she told me. She's helping others process their trauma. Is that normal? For Maria? I think it is. She's an old soul. She understands pain in a way most children don't. Because of what she went through? Because of what she survived, and how she chose to survive it. Dr. Chen showed me Maria's latest drawings. They were different now, still birds, but not always flying away. Some were building nests. Some were feeding their babies. Some were just being. She's learning that staying can be as brave as leaving, Dr. Chen said. One evening, I found Maria in my office, looking at the photos on the wall. Mr. Harris, can I ask you something? Of course. Why do you do this? Take care of kids like us. I sat down next to her. What do you think? You're like the oak tree. How so? Strong, with deep roots, and lots of branches for birds to rest on. She pointed to the photos. All these kids, they're like birds. They needed a safe place to land. And then they flew away to new families? No, she said. They flew away because they were ready. Because you taught them how. I felt tears in my eyes. Maria continued. They don't stay because they have to. They stay because they want to. Because this is a good tree. She looked at me. Some birds need longer to learn how to fly. Is that okay? That's more than okay, I said. Good, because I'm not ready yet to find a new family. My heart clenched. Maria. But someday I will be, and when I am, I'll know you taught me everything I need to know. She handed me another drawing. A tree full of birds, some flying away, some arriving, some just resting. At the bottom, in her careful handwriting, thank you for not letting me fly away before I was ready. I hung that drawing right next to her first one. The house with birds that weren't flying away. Maria, I said. Yes? You know you can stay here as long as you need, right? Even if you never want to leave? She smiled. I know, but I think I will want to leave someday. Why? Because you taught me something important. What's that? Flying away isn't scary when you know you can always come back. That night, as I did my evening rounds, I stopped by Maria's room. She was at the window, but she wasn't drawing. She was just watching the birds roost in the oak tree. They look peaceful, I said. They are. They know they're home. How do they know? She turned to me. Same way I know. Same way all of us know. Which is? When someone loves you enough to let you be yourself. Even when yourself is broken. Even when yourself is scared. She went back to watching the birds. And when someone believes you can fly, even when you don't believe it yourself. I kissed the top of her head. Good night, Maria. Good night, Mr. Harris. As I walked away, I heard her whisper to the window, Good night, Daddy. I'm learning to fly, but I'm not flying away. It came on a Tuesday, just like Maria had almost a year ago. A letter from the state. Official letterhead, the kind that made my stomach drop. Budget cuts. Our funding was being reduced by 30%. I had to let 2 staff members go, cut programs, maybe even close beds. I sat in my office, staring at the letter, trying to figure out how to make the numbers work. There was a knock on my door. Come in. It was Maria. She had a drawing in her hand. Mr. Harris, you look sad. The birds told me. I managed a smile. Just some work stuff, sweetheart. She came closer, put the drawing on my desk. It was a tree, but this tree was different. Some of its branches were broken, falling away. The birds are worried, she said quietly. About what? About the tree getting sick. About not having enough branches for everyone. My breath caught. Maria. I heard you on the phone yesterday with Dr. Chen about money. She climbed into the chair across from my desk, her legs dangling. Are some of us going to have to fly away? I couldn't lie to her. Not to Maria. I don't know, I said. I'm trying to figure it out. She nodded, like she'd expected this. Which birds would go first? Maria, we're going to do everything we can to keep everyone together. But if you can't? I looked at her small face, so serious, so grown up. The older kids, I said honestly. The ones who are almost ready for independence anyway. Like James? Maybe. She was quiet for a long time, thinking. Mr. Harris, can I tell you something the birds told me? Of course. Sometimes when a tree gets sick, the birds help. They bring seeds from other places, plant new trees. She slid off the chair, walked to the window. Maybe there's a way for the birds to help the tree. What do you mean? I don't know yet, but the birds are smart. They'll think of something. That night, I couldn't sleep, kept running numbers in my head. We needed $50,000. Might as well have been 50 million. I was thinking about which programs to cut first, which staff members had families to support, how to tell the kids that everything was changing. Around midnight, I heard footsteps in the hallway. Maria was standing outside my office door, in her pajamas. Can't sleep either? I asked. She shook her head. The birds are having a meeting about the tree. A meeting? Yes, they do that when something important needs to be decided. She sat on the floor outside my office. I sat down next to her. What are they deciding? How to save their home. We sat there together, in the dark hallway, listening to the silence. Maria, aren't you scared? About flying away? Yes. She thought about this. A little, but not too much. Why not? Because you taught me something. What's that? Home isn't just a place. It's people who love you. She leaned against my shoulder. Even if I have to go to a different tree, you'll still be my first safe branch. I felt tears on my cheeks. And the other kids will still be family, even if we're in different places. How do you know that? Because real family doesn't need to live in the same nest. The next morning, something strange happened. Maria didn't come to breakfast. Sophia said she'd left early, before anyone else was up. I found her in the garden, but she wasn't alone. Mrs. Patterson from next door was there, and Mr. Kim from across the street. Maria was showing them her drawings, talking to them about the house. "What's going on?" I asked. "Maria came to my door this morning," Mrs. Patterson said. "Told me about your situation." My face went red. "Maria, you can't just—" "Wait," Mr. Kim interrupted. "Let her finish." Maria looked up at me. I told them about the tree, about how it might lose some branches. "And?" I asked, confused. And I asked if they wanted to help plant new seeds. Mrs. Patterson smiled. "She's been telling us about all the good work you do here, how you've helped her find her voice." "We had no idea," Mr. Kim added. "We see the kids playing in the yard, but we never really understood." "Understood what?" "What this place means to them, to the whole neighborhood." Maria tugs at my sleeve. "Show them the photo wall." "Maria, please? They want to see." So I did. I took them inside, shown them the photos of all the kids who'd lived here over the years. Told them some of the stories, the victories, the heartbreaks. By the time we finished, both neighbors had tears in their eyes. "How much do you need?" Mrs. Patterson asked. We can't accept charity." "It's not charity," Mr. Kim said. "It's investment in our community." Maria nodded seriously. "The birds told me. Sometimes the whole forest has to work together to keep the trees healthy." Word spread faster than I expected. Mrs. Patterson told her book club. Mr. Kim mentioned it at the hardware store. Sophia's teacher heard about it from Sophia herself. Within a week, we had visitors every day. People bringing casseroles, offering to help with yard work, asking what else we needed. A local business owner showed up with a check for $5,000. "My daughter was in foster care," he said simply. "Places like this matter." The high school art teacher brought her whole class. They spent a Saturday painting the fence. Maria directed them like a tiny foreman, telling them which colors the birds would like best. "More blue," she'd say. "Birds like blue. It reminds them of sky." Dr. Chen stopped by during one of these workdays. "This is remarkable," she said, watching Maria coordinate the volunteers. "She started it all," I told her. "She found her voice, and now she's using it to save her home. More than that, she's building community." Dr. Chen nodded. "It's what trauma survivors often do when they heal. They become Bridges. Bridges. Between pain and hope. Between broken and whole. I watched Maria showing a volunteer how to draw birds on the fence. She's not just healing herself, Dr. Chen continued. She's healing everyone around her. But the most surprising visitor came on a Thursday afternoon. A woman in a business suit, expensive car, professional smile. "I'm looking for Maria," she said. My heart sank. Social workers in expensive suits usually meant one thing: adoption inquiries. May I ask why? I'm Janet Morrison, from the Community Foundation. Maria wrote us a letter. She handed me a piece of paper, in Maria's careful handwriting. "Dear Foundation people, my name is Maria. I live at Mr. Harris's house with the other kids who don't have families yet. Our tree is sick because there's not enough money to feed it. I know you give money to help people. Could you help our tree get better? We don't need much, just enough to keep all the birds safe. The birds told me you would understand. Love, Maria. P.S. I drew you a picture of our tree when it was healthy." At Xmas, attached was one of Maria's drawings. The house, surrounded by birds, all the birds looking happy and safe. "We get thousands of grant applications," Ms. Morrison said. "But this was different." "How so?" "It was honest, pure. No fancy language or statistics, just a child asking for help." She looked around the yard, at the volunteers painting and watching, at Maria organizing them with gentle authority. The board voted unanimously. $50,000, and we want to feature your story in our newsletter. I stared at her. 50,000? Sometimes the most compelling case is the simplest one. That evening, we had a celebration dinner. All the volunteers stayed. Kids and adults eating together, talking and laughing. Maria sat next to me, quietly watching everything. "You did this," I told her. "No," she said. "The birds did this." "Maria, okay, we did this. All of us together." She looked around the crowded room. "This is what the birds wanted to show me." "What?" "That flying together is better than flying alone." James raised his glass of juice. "To Maria, for saving our home." Everyone cheered. Maria blushed bright red. "Speech," someone called out. "Speech! Speech!" Maria stood up, her small voice somehow carrying across the room. "Thank you," she said, "for helping our tree stay strong." She paused, looked at all the faces watching her. "Mr. Harris taught me that home isn't just a place. It's people who love you. And love isn't just inside one house. It's everywhere, in the whole neighborhood, in the whole world." She smiled. "The birds knew that. They were just waiting for us to figure it out." The room erupted in applause. I looked at Maria, this tiny girl who'd arrived broken and silent, who'd found her voice by trying to save someone else, who'd saved all of us by asking for help. "I'm proud of us," she whispered back. That night, as I did my rounds, I found Maria at her window. But she wasn't watching the birds. She was looking at all the lights in the neighborhood houses. "They're all part of it now," she said. "Part of what?" "The forest, the community, the family." She turned to me. "Mr. Harris, I think I'm almost ready." Ready for what? To learn how to really fly. The family came to visit on a spring morning. The Johnsons, a couple in their 30s, no children of their own yet. They'd been following our story in the Foundation newsletter. "We're not here to adopt," Mrs. Johnson said quickly, "just to volunteer, to help however we can." But I saw how she looked at Maria, and how Maria looked back, curious, interested, not scared. The Johnsons started coming every weekend. Mr. Johnson helped with maintenance. Mrs. Johnson worked in the garden with the kids. Maria showed her the oak tree, explained about the birds. "Do you talk to them?" Mrs. Johnson asked. "Sometimes, but mostly I listen." "What do they tell you?" "Different things. Today, they're saying someone new is coming." Mrs. Johnson smiled. "Someone new?" "Someone who's been waiting. Someone who's ready." I watched from the office window, saw how naturally they talked together, how Mrs. Johnson didn't push, just listened, how Maria slowly opened up, shared her drawings, her stories. After a month, Dr. Chen pulled me aside. "The Johnsons have expressed interest in adoption." My heart clenched, even though I'd been expecting this. "And Maria?" "She's ready. Finally ready." "How do you know?" "Because she told me. She said the birds have been preparing her." That evening, I sat with Maria under the oak tree. "Dr. Chen told me about the Johnsons," I said. Maria nodded. "I know. How do you feel about it?" She was quiet for a long time, thinking. "Scared," she said finally, "but good scared." "Good scared?" "Like when the baby birds leave the nest. Scary, but right." A crow cawed overhead. Maria looked up. "He says it's time." "The bird told you that?" "Not in words, but yes." She leaned against my shoulder. "Mr. Harris, will you be okay when I go?" The question surprised me. Will I be okay? Sometimes parents, it's sad when their kids grow up. "Are you worried about me?" "A little. You've taken care of everyone for so long. Who takes care of you?" I felt tears starting. "Maria." "The birds told me something else." "What?" "That the best trees are the ones that know how to let go so their birds can fly to new forests." She sat up, looked at me seriously. "But they also said the birds never forget their first safe branch." Over the next few weeks, we prepared. Not just paperwork and meetings, emotional preparation. Maria drew pictures for everyone in the house, personal gifts. For Tommy, a boy surrounded by protective birds. For Sophia, 2 birds connected by golden thread. For James, a strong bird helping smaller ones learn to fly. For me, a tree with deep roots and empty branches, ready for new birds. "The empty branches aren't sad," she explained. "They're hopeful." The Johnsons visited more often. Maria started spending weekends at their house. She always came back with stories. "They have a garden," she told me, "with bird feeders. And Mrs. Johnson, I think I should call her Sarah now, She wants to learn to draw birds, too. Do you like their house? Yes, but it doesn't feel like home just yet. That takes time. I know. The birds told me. They said home happens slowly, like trust. The official adoption day was set for June 15th, exactly 1 year and 1 month after Maria had arrived. The night before, she couldn't sleep. I found her in the garden at midnight. Nervous? I asked. Yes, but not about the flying part. What then? About forgetting how to come back. I sat down next to her. Maria, you could never forget, and you can always come back to visit. Promise? Promise. She leaned against me. Tell me about the other birds, the ones who found new families. What do you want to know? Do they remember this tree? They do. Some of them write letters, send pictures. Do you think they're happy? I know they are, because they learned to fly here first. They learned they were worth loving. Maria was quiet for a long time. Mr. Harris? Yes? Thank you for not letting me fly away before I was ready. Thank you for teaching me that sometimes the bravest thing is letting someone go. The morning came too fast and too slow. The Johnsons arrived early. Maria had packed her small suitcase the night before. All her drawings were carefully rolled up in a poster tube. These are my memories, she told Sarah Johnson, from before I could talk. They're beautiful. We'll hang them in your new room. Our room, Maria corrected quietly. Everyone gathered to say goodbye. Tommy gave her a smooth stone for when you miss us. Sophia braided her a friendship bracelet, so you remember we're still connected. James just hugged her, long and tight. Take care of the new kids, Maria whispered to him. I will. You taught me how. Finally, it was my turn. Maria stood in front of me, so small, so brave. This isn't goodbye, she said firmly. No, it's see you later. Yes? The birds want me to tell you something. What's that? New birds are coming, soon. Birds who need this tree. She hugged me tight. But you're ready for them, because you know how to help broken wings heal. They drove away slowly, Maria waving from the back window until they turned the corner. I stood in the yard for a long time, looking at the empty space where their car had been. Sophia came up beside me. The tree looks different, she said. How so? Less full, but somehow bigger. That evening, I sat under the oak tree alone. For the first time in months, it was quiet. No birds chattering, just peaceful silence. I looked up at the branches, some empty now, ready for new arrivals. In my pocket was a letter that had come that morning, a new referral. A 7-year-old boy named David. Parents died in a car accident, no family to take him. He'd be arriving next week. I thought about Maria, about her journey from silence to voice, about how healing happens slowly, like trust, about how the bravest thing sometimes is holding on, and sometimes it's letting go. The birds returned as the sun set, settling into the oak tree for the night. Their soft chirping filled the air, and somehow I could swear I heard Maria's voice among them, saying what she'd always known. Home isn't just a place, it's people who love you. And love doesn't end when someone flies away. It just learns to stretch wider.